But like I always want to find out, and my two learned seniors here, can you legislate against idiocy?
No.
But you can try.
No.
You can try.
Okay. Because you see, the reason why I asked this first issue or question is that, you see, ultimately what you are faced with is a personal conviction. You see, there are things that at the level of the individual he must do. You see, you cannot wear white to parliament, wear white to church, quote several scriptures, become the principal, holder of the public purse, right? And few days to leave in office, your own cousin, the president, says, my chief of staff had given you permission to travel abroad. Now your lawyers come and tell us that May that year, you'll be back from your medical thing. And now your lawyers are celebrating the grant of your green card. And you say we should legislate.
Yonsa ati yanahwefo wɔhwɛ ɔyɛ no kɔnwi dwumidi asam nan atasama ɔyɛ lawyer Edudzi. He's talking about Ken Ofori-Atta refusal to return back to Ghana. Now you see, is it not strange that yet see the MPP for apostles of rule of law, apostles, self-acclaimed apostles of democracy? One answer, they are defending Ken Ofori-Atta. Ken Ofori-Atta should not come back to this country to answer charges being leveled against him, to respond to the alleged corruption charges being leveled against him, to provide responses to his stewardship as finance minister for 8 years under His Excellency, the self-acclaimed competent President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. We've heard a lot from the MPP apparatchiks. Oh, Ken Ofori-Atta should not come. The point is, it doesn't make sense to you, and yet they'll come back to ask Ghanaians of their mandate. Asama na lawyer Edudzi kanyi sabio onyanyo that even nekeze Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo yo mampinyi nankasa. Asama kodoga na forusu ye dede Ken Ofori-Atta bro nebe yinsama no, because you have been a finance minister ayefu to sanfo for mfia wotwe Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo ayerempo no edanka wo mobi fufu ye dwuma nen or the dwuma no to ho my etata upon na sana baba fai but no one miss asamba bunku ncheche Ghana for onya wode Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo who vowed that he will not allow any appointee to rock his boats. Akananu tum ombo wompo bra Ghana for rusu. Is it not strange that His Excellency the former president, the self-acclaimed competent president Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, has remained tight-lipped over Ken Ofori-Atta's refusal to return back to this country? Is it not strange that Nana Addo has remained tight-lipped, quiet? He has not even coughed about this issue that Ghanaian citizens are calling on Ken Ofori-Atta to return to respond to the charges being leveled against him. Remember, the show you are watching is the bitter truth. Truth is bitter. It must be told. Now, let's listen fully to lawyer Edudzi.
But like I always want to find out, and my two learned holder of the public purse, right? And few days to leave in office, your own cousin, the president, says, my chief of staff had given you permission to travel abroad. Now your lawyers come and tell us that May that year, you'll be back from your medical thing. And now your lawyers are celebrating the grant of your green card, and you say we should legislate. What are we legislating? People just don't have conscience. Simple.
Yeah.
At the bottom of this conversation is that people simply don't have conscience.
Yeah.
People simply feel that this country can be used for whatever it is they want, and they are above accountability. Look, that thing had been created in the minds of some people, that we are above the laws of this country. Bottom line. Oh yes. Why? The people around President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo strongly believe that they are above the laws of this country. If not, we shouldn't be having this conversation, respectfully. Why are we trying to romanticize this issue? Why? In one breath, my learned senior Kofi says, Ken, don't come back. In another breath, he said, no, legislate against others from. I mean, how can you speak from the two sides of your mouth?
You see, he's inviting me in.
Yes, I will.
Because I haven't said
but at the right time, I will come back.
Haven't.
No, I beg you. No, but you have not on this platform, but on different platforms.
On different platforms.
Please hold on. Hold on, senior. Hold on.
So that you
on different platforms, you have made it categorical.
Yeah,
in fact, you have suggested to him that he shouldn't. And even today, you said conditions are not. What conditions? Today in America, where Ken Ofori-Atta is, the Attorney General of New York, who prosecuted President Trump, okay, for the fraud by the Trump organization, is today being prosecuted under President Trump.
Yeah.
She calls it persecution.
Yeah.
The courts have dismissed the indictment. The president says he will come back.
Yes.
That's mighty America. At the condition, Letitia James or whatever she's called, she must be running.
Yeah.
John Bolton, the former national security advisor to President Trump,
Yes.
who fell out with him, had just pleaded guilty by charges brought under by President Trump's Attorney General because, as it were, he disclosed confidential information at that barest minimum. James Comey,
Excellent.
the former FBI boss, only wrote on Instagram or something, 8640 or some words. According to President Trump, that was an invitation for him to be killed.
Yes.
Because he fell out with Trump.
Yeah.
A Republican former FBI boss is today being prosecuted by President Trump. Mighty America. What conditions are we talking about? You just don't have conscience.
Yeah.
You just came, abuse this country's resources, and decide that let's run away because we are above the law. No conscience. And you sit on this platform to pontificate legislation. And that is why I preface my conversation by asking whether you can legislate against idiocy. You can't. It's not every problem you can solve with legislation. You see, immediately we have this mindset that every Ghanaian problem has come with legislation. We will come up with laws that will turn ineffective. Look, I have decided to do some research this morning. And in the research I was doing, I realized something unique. Very interesting conversation. Look, 1952. J.B. Dankwa wrote to Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, 1952. How many years ago? 52.
So over 70 years.
Good.
No, it's not 70. Okay.
Yeah, over 70.
Yeah.
J.B. Dankwa wrote to Nkrumah, complaining about cocoa crutches, the scale for weighing cocoa. They have compromised it. They have done all. 2, bezels of schools. What were they doing?
Stealing.
Compromising purchasing, procurement infractions. J.B. Dankwa direct letters from 1952-57 that he's written to Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah complaining about corruption within the public sector. Fast forward. 1993, the NDC the PNDC having transitioned into democratic rule, you know what they did? They said, oh, the laws were not strong enough. So they needed to amend Section 179. You know, initially Section 179 stand alone.
Yeah.
So now they introduced 179A with the introduction of causing financial loss to the state. Curiously, the people who introduced that piece of legislation, eventually the same people were the people who were caught up by rates. Yes. From 1992 to date, the people who brought Section 179A were the people who have been caught by rates. I mean, today you go on shows and an MPP communicator will tell you that, you people, you say we are corrupt, but none of our appointees have ever been convicted for corruption, particularly under Section 179A. Look, go and read Justice Dixon Kwame Afre's judgment in the quality grade decision. The charges were formulated, I think, by Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo as Attorney General.
Okay.
Now, when the conversation started, the MPP media then, and remember at that time, was only few media men. So they could meet, decide that this week, this is what we'll discuss, and nothing will happen. And that's about.
Yes.
So they discuss the agenda. Today, citizen journalism, you can't set any agenda. People have their own agenda. Now, guess what happened? 2 pages of the initial, judgment, trying to convince himself that the people he was about to convict, he was not stealing or corruption. Because if you see, he himself said, having reviewed over 3,000 pages of documents, evidence, and what have you, records, he has come to the conclusion that he needs to disabuse the mind of the public. That to the mind of the public, those individuals who are being prosecuted for corruption and stealing, he wants to let Ghanaians know that that is not the case. And that this is a novel penal law called causing financial loss to the state. And these are the ingredients. And in fact, if you look at the Afre formulation on causing financial loss to the state, it does not even require proof of what you call a terrible mind. All that is required is proof that the loss was willful. And what constituted willfulness was never given, in terms of, you see, because the idea is that penal legislation usually must be construed strictly. It never happened.
Okay.
So let's get that point.
You disagree with that proposal?
No, this is, let me make this point, I beg you. You see, recently my learned senior Kofi was lawyer for Imani when they went to court under the MPP, I think the tail end of the MPP government, challenging the removal of the heads of security agencies. And one of the arguments put forward by Malene Senior had to do with the fact that, listen, you can't remove persons of that nature unless there's a basis for just cause, right? Now, if you read the reasoning of my Lord Justice Garu with the concurring opinion by Justice Akabuafo, they claim, they made the point very clear that this just cause provision is restricted to certain category of officers. And then heads of security agencies do not form that Article 191 category of officers. And so an attempt to stretch that provision to enter into the security heads will be problematic. The reason why I'm bringing this is that, you see, my senior makes the point of situations where you can actually even prepare a resignation.
Oh, that was just an example.
Yeah, no, but I'm just providing the legal proof. It would be difficult in our current constitutional arrangement to do that.
Okay.
Because prima facie it will be declared unconstitutional. Always remember that these are contracts that are not contracts of servitude.
Yeah.
And so you cannot even ban people. Look, the Ghana Law School used to have a situation where the guys, the law student writing entrance exam,
yes.
they will be made to do undertaking that you cannot challenge.
Yes.
Her ladyship, Gifty Ajay Addo.
Yes, exactly. Yes. She struck it.
She struck it, tore it into pieces.
Yes.
So set of legislation always come with that problem. Then the question of judicial activism. What judges have been trying to do over the period to help also with this conversation on corruption and others. Look, I remember Mabie and Johnson. When Mabie and Johnson happened,
We seem to be going around in circles. It's good the president has something, but that doesn't have legal value.
Senator, with respect, I think just recently he announced that the state asset protection law is also coming. Because you see, you need to also single out state property and state asset. Article 40, that's Article 40 of the Constitution. Enjoins all of us as citizens 41 enjoins all of us as citizens to ensure the protection and prevent the misuse of public. But I think this one is a targeted legislation that President Mahama wants to come with penal consequences with it, targeted at protection of public property or assets. Because you see, at the bottom, all of us don't.
Sir Ati Oye lawyer Edudzi speaking to Ofori-Atta's refusal to come back to this country to respond to alleged corrupt charges being leveled against him, to account for his stewardship as finance minister under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the self-acclaimed competent president Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who finally ditched this country. And is it not strange? Is it not surprising that a so-called competent president, self-acclaimed president, who has continuously remained silent over asking his cousin, whom he appointed as finance minister for this country, for the Republic of Ghana, 8 years, to come down to respond to issues being leveled against him? And you hear MPP party members, we have the men, the apostles of democracy, the apostles of the self-acclaimed apostles of democracy, the MPP party members, defending, opposing the extradition of Ken Ofori-Atta. Should we even get to this point where the state should be filing extradition order to bring a former finance minister back to the country, and Akufo-Addo has remained silent? How does Akufo-Addo feel? What does it mean? What impulse is he giving to the public? Remember, the show you are watching is the bitter truth. Truth is bitter. It must be told. Penyufo se no kwaya wen anyinye biara onye hu onye wawa do mam penyina wa sum Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo o ka chegana fo dey mama ya nya bahwa azefo nyanye timamofo na wase no nua Ken Ofori-Atta omra omo bunku ntom yi sembia no o sande o serve amani de fotusanfo for mfia wotwe nsembise bi o wa Ghana fo pede wozi bisan na Ken Ofori-Atta se lalai omba Ghana. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the self-acclaimed competent president, president also Ghana for the mama yanya bosha azefo ne mom yanya timamofo nen ombo wompo da enfo da me bisadi ehyezo da Ghana for na akomado de Ken Ofori-Atta omba Ghana no be yinsembia no. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo wakana na atum de wakana na apado so nkasa. What is he afraid of? Why is Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo quiet, silent over Ken Ofori-Atta's refusal to return to this country? Even at the time Nana Addo Akade, Sophie Abanuma, Nasha for one ha. If you have been able to say this and your cousin is refusing to come back, you should have been the first person, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, if he's really competent and mean well for this country. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo should have been the first person to prevail on Ken Ofori-Atta to come back to this country, to come and prove his innocence, to come and prove his integrity. Remember, the show you are watching is The Bitter Truth. If today is the first time you are watching The Bitter Truth on Ghana Bad News YouTube channel, we are humbly pleading with you to kindly subscribe to the channel. Feel free to share to reach others, and your comments, your views, suggestions, drop them in the comment section. You are the reason we bring The Bitter Truth to you. Send you know the kana share no comment jumedi or Ghana Bad News YouTube channel. Ahumbrasima ya to asre subscribe. Nya domana wono don dem no be yezi juma wa bonke eze wonyimdi wa adwen da bata jumedi echi. O send nyansa onye ba akofo ni tirim. Kaida mampenyi na Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo si. Yanye timamofo mama yanya bwahwa adzefo. Penyifo se no kwaryawen ne kayeka na hona baka no kwanwi ya baka. Na Addo ka che na suafo de ofi abanimo mama obian ko obian tina ha. Nanso Ken Ofori-Atta egwana akwahye US osomba enka Akufo-Addo odwene omani hu owo adwene performance Ghana ho a osumwe ni nkonu no do ye nyia ozikana obaka che Ken Ofori-Atta de yamunia bra nansama wopada obi so wonan be ya no nso na Addo akana no apado abazi no osro abazi no hye ntumi ma ofi de Ken Ofori-Atta ba ebi obede gwanti wakana no apado na also obosumo maga no owo pepa zema man Ghana. Akufo-Addo kache no owo pepa zema man Ghana. Oman ne hiade ne kanko no puntu no de na akomado. Ya da na se Ghana fo da na se. Kaide dwumedi arehwe no ya no kwanwen dwumedi mpanyufo se no kwarye ne kaya kana hwana baka no kwanwen ya baka. Fa wanwinkyere for the comment section nan. Ya da se da ze womber na wo data za hwe